A tiny NP battery powering an X100? Yes!
Wouldn't you like to know what's inside an NP battery? Ready? Here's what's inside an NP battery. As you can probably tell, I really like NP batteries. They are the most common battery in the video camera world, especially for lighting stuff. They come in 3 different sizes. You got your 550. These little batteries can go to over 3,500 milliamp hours. Then you have your 750, 4,800 to 5,200 milliamp hours. And then you've got your 930s and 970s. Now they just came out with a 10,000 milliamp hour battery. They're all 7.4 volts and they run all kinds of lights. They're really cheap and I love them. You know, the Zhiyun X100, it's the most powerful light out there for 100 watts. It comes with this battery. It comes with this really heavy brick. This thing weighs a ton. It's a proprietary battery. It's not very reliable. After 3 uses, it stops working. Costs $100. It sticks on the side. Oh, it's really heavy and it's awkward to use. And this thing, the main thing I don't like about it, other than the fact that it's not reliable, is that it weighs a ton. This is like a solid brick of lead. Only runs for half an hour. That's it. The other option, of course, is USB power banks, which are these things, which I don't like because you have to use a cord. You have to stick a cord in the power bank, and then you have to stick the other end of the cord in the light, and then you have this dangly contraption thing, which is really annoying. And of course, the other option is V-mount batteries. These are really heavy too. Look at the size difference here. You might think these don't last very long. Oh boy, are you going to be surprised for this. Oh, wow. Let's take one of these, all right? This thing here, which is a 176 Neewer, with this little tiny, the smallest battery that you can get, NP battery, this runs for 2 hours. This YN600 will run with 2 little tiny 550s for 75 minutes. You can get 2 of these batteries plus a charger for $22. And these have been around forever. Wait, this is even the beginning here. They are so small, they don't weigh hardly anything. The smallest size that you can get, just this little tiny one, 2200 milliamp hour. Like I said, this one runs for 2 hours. The Yodoblo YN303, this thing here, with just one of these tiny little batteries in here, runs for an hour. It's just, you know, it's just amazing how this tiny little battery will run an LED light for an hour. The Yidoblo, remember I told you about the Yodoblo here? I got 3 of them. It has an NP option. You can do it with USB of a proprietary battery, but this little tiny battery here, I ran 2 of these things yesterday. It goes on right away. This runs for 51 minutes. With this tiny little battery at full capacity, which is 30% of this light. It won't be 100 watts like this. This is a 100 watt light. It runs at 30, this is a 30 watt. These are basically up to, you can get up to 30 watts out of it. Look how bright this is. This is super bright. It's ridiculously bright. This is where it gets interesting. You would think that 30% power is 1/3 the amount of light. That is not the case. I did a light meter reading with my light meter, and with the NP battery on this 100 watt Yidoblo, the light meter reading was 4.02. And when I do the full power with the USB-C on here, and it's 100 watts, guess what the light meter reading is? It's 5.63. So this is going at a full 100 watts, 5.63 light meter reading, and with the NP, it's 4.01. That's just over a stop. It's like 1 1/3 stops difference. It's kind of like cars. If you double the horsepower in a car, you don't go twice as fast. Same thing with lights. Most of the power output comes in the first third of this. The first 30 watts, 30% gives you the most power. When you go up from 30 watts to 100 watts, you get really diminishing returns. And when you go at 100 watts, it's only 1.3 stops more of light, which is not that much. I mean, it's double the amount of light, but comparatively, you're getting a lot of light with this tiny little battery. If you use one of these things, these 100 watt monsters, compared to this, you're not getting that much more power out of it. Just a little bit, like 1.3 stops. This tiny little battery runs up to 2 hours on one of these. Oh yeah. Okay, so the Yodoblo, I like the colors. Look at that. It's kind of like a rose. What is this? A rose copper color. Really nice. Somebody asked if this comes off. Yes, that comes off. Anyway, so this little battery, little 550 in here. Okay, this runs for, you get a light meter reading of 4.01. And that is just as bright as two Yongnuo YN303s. Two of these together give you 4.02. So this little thing gives you the same power as two of these. Now the reason for that is it's a COB light. A COB is the yellow disc. You might think that's one giant LED. It's not. This is actually hundreds of little tiny LEDs jammed together so tightly that it looks like one LED, but this is hundreds of LEDs jammed together. This thing those are very obviously separate LEDs. So anything that's a COB is going to put out more compressed light than this will. This will use a little bit more energy than this will. But that's why these things are brighter. But I still love this kind. Because why? Well, look at this. I don't like this reflector. It's really like big and bulky, and this is an awkward shape. I love this. I love how flat this is. You can fit 4 of these, stack them together in your suitcase. Look at this big giant thing. Look how flat that is compared to that. This is awkward. You can't fit that many of these in your travel case. This, you could fit a whole bunch of them together. And 2 of these little 550s, and this Viltrox 200T, look at that. Look at the battery. It's almost no battery space at all in there. This will run for an hour. All of these lights will run for an hour. This will run for an hour. This will run for an hour. The X100 with its giant battery, half an hour. Now I know you're thinking, well, wait a minute, how long will the X100 run at 30% with the big battery? Well, I tested it, and it runs for 1.8 hours with the big battery at 30%. This one here, with the 3300 milliamp hour version of the little 550 battery, will go for 3 hours. But this one is really heavy and clunky, and this one weighs nothing. It's small, it's lightweight. This thing literally weighs 3 times more than this. Imagine how long these will run when you use something double the size or something triple the size. These all fit on here. Now, wait, it gets even more interesting, it gets even more fun. You don't even have to attach the battery to the light. All these things, every one of these, even the little ones, have this plug right there. And you see the plug hole? And there's another one here. They all have this. Most of these come with a wall adapter, but you don't even need that. You can still run it battery power. Let's say you don't want to have the battery on the light. And you can just have a cord. Now this is a D-tap to whatever plug that is. And this is kind of interesting. Here's a Yodoblo F01. It has several different ways to power it. It shows you the battery power. It has a D-tap connector here, which you can put this in. That'll power remotely with this thing. Or it also has a PD out, which is USB-C, so that can plug in there. And now, this is where it gets even more interesting. You can power the Yidoblo, obviously, which has a USB-C, but get this. You all like the fact that the Yidoblo will run on an NP, right? That's really cool. Look at how low profile that is compared to this giant battery. Let's stick a USB-C in the bottom of a Zhiyun X100. Get this. Here it is with the little tiny NP battery. I'm going to turn it on. There it's going on. See that right there? It's going on, and it says 30%. So this little tiny NP battery is now powering the Zhiyun X100 just like an NP can battery the Yodoblo. The difference is the Yodoblo has the battery right built into the handle here. The X100 has the battery separate on a wire here, but you're getting the same 30%. And it's the same 4.02 reading as opposed to, now if I took this little tiny battery off and put on the big USB-C, which gives you 100 watts, this will only go from 4.02 to 5.63. Again, only 1.3 stops difference. So you're getting most of the power of the lights, most from the first 30%. And that is bright. That sucker is bright. So yes, you can power a Zhiyun X100 with a little tiny NP battery. That is so cool. That's what I love about these. When you travel, you don't want big heavy things like this. This thing, actually, let's just check this out. NP battery, 3.4 ounces. Zhiyun battery, that's almost a pound. That's basically a pound. This battery weighs almost 5 times more than this does. The typical one, the older ones, are 2200 milliamp hours. Here's an ICANN that goes up to 2900. Now remember, these are just the small ones. Here's the one that's twice as big, and these go 4800, 4400, 5200. These are the NP-F550s. And then the really big ones, 6600 all the way up to now they have them at 10,000. Wouldn't you like to know what's inside an NP battery? I've spent many sleepless nights wondering that exact thought myself also. I cut it open, ready, here's what's inside an NP battery. The big reveal. There you go. It's a bunch of, they look like AA batteries, but they're considerably bigger than AA batteries. The 550 obviously only has 2 of them in there. The 750 has 4 of them, and the 950, 930, 970 has 6 of them. They just keep stacking them. Now these big ones that you see here, these ones here, these are not NPs, these are BPs. These are for professional camcorders. They have a D-tap built into the side. I hot glued a V-mount on the side of one of them so I could actually use it as a V-mount battery. But these are not compatible because the holes are different than the BP batteries. So there's actually 5 connectors on the BPs and there's only 2 connectors, plus and minus, on the NPs. And that's what makes the NP so cool. It's really simple. One's plus and one's minus. You can rig these for all kinds of uses, and these are so cheap nowadays. You can get 2 of these, 2900 milliamp hours, the more powerful ones, plus the charger for $22 on Amazon. A small rig has one that's 3500 milliamp hours, and it charges with USB-C that you can get for $36. And there's the high-end one with the Jupio Pro Line, 3350 milliamp hours for $59. So these little batteries can go to over 3500 milliamp hours. All these ones that I'm using that ran this thing for 2 hours, that was only a 2200 milliamp hour. You can pack a lot of power and long running time into one of these little batteries. And when it comes to traveling, look at this. Just think, one of these lights can power one of these lights for 2 hours, okay? And I got 1, 2, 3, 4. There. 4 of these is about the same size as one of these Zhiyun batteries, and these can power 4 different lights for an hour at least, 1 to 2 hours. Now I know this is 100 watts, these are 30 watts, but like I said, most of the power is in the first 30 watts. Look how flat the profile is of these batteries. You don't even have to use these ones. This is overkill. With these things, you could run lights all day long. I mean, especially these kind of LEDs. So that's what I love about these versus this. I mean, taking V-mount batteries is heavy, it's bulky. USB batteries are annoying because you have to use the cords and all that. I like having the battery just stuck to the back of the lamp like that. There, it's done. There's no cords or anything. And look how low profile that is. The light's bright. It lasts a long time, like an hour, 2 hours. It's very small and lightweight, great for traveling. It doesn't cost much. This light costs maybe 20 bucks. The battery costs $10. I mean, that's why I love these. That's why I love NP batteries. You can do so much with them, and you can use them remotely if you want with something like this. And they're just, it's basic technology that they've mastered. And they are lithium ion, so they can recharge. You know, that's the other thing. Most people think that these things don't last very long. They're cheap batteries, they don't last long. All of these batteries you see right here, I've had for over 10 years, and they work like they're brand new. You know, some of them, I think I have 2 of them go bad on me in 10 years. I have 2 of them go bad. All these ones you see here, they're at 100%. I charged them last night. They all work great. They don't go bad really that much. A couple of them do, most of them don't. And they don't cost very much. So I think that's what most people want, something that doesn't cost much. It's small, it's lightweight, that's what I like. And they work with these really simple lights. You can even use them to power something of one of the newer COB lights, which is really cool. So that's why I like NP. And I like sharing what I like because what I like is practical. It's not like the newest trendy thing that everybody's pushing. I like things that are real life practical. I like small, lightweight. I like cheap too. I mean, why spend money if you don't have to, right? So anyway, There's my love for NP. Share the love. This is what's inside an NP. Now you know. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.